So for this Gaussian blur radius, if you want to retain more texture on your skin, just take the radius all the way up, and if you want less texture on your skin, take it all the way down. So let me just show you. So if I take this image to about, if I use a radius of about 2.4 and I just click OK. Hello everyone, welcome back to another amazing tutorial. My name is Tunde Victor, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to retouch make portraits using Capture One and Photoshop. So let's get started. So this is our Capture One interface, and you can use Lightroom to process your raw file. You can use Camera Raw to process your raw file, and you can use Capture One as well. So I prefer using Capture One, but if you don't have this Capture One, you can use Lightroom or you can use Camera Raw. And also, if you want this Capture One, I'll be leaving the link below where you can download this Capture One software. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to come to my color tab right here, and I want to change the ICC profile of this image. This image was actually shot with a Nikon Z5, and I want to change it to make it look like this image was shot with a Sony A7. So I just come to my ICC profile, I'll just click on it and click on show all, and once I click on show all, I'll come back again and just look for Sony. So I have my Sony right here, so I just click on Sony A7 and I'll click on standard, so I'll click on OK. So you can see how good this image is right now. So if I just show you, this is the before and this is the after, just that difference. You can see the colors are all popping. This is the before and this is the after. The next thing I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm going to crop this image. So I just come to my crop tool up here and right click, and it's going to show you the ratio which you want. So just pick any ratio you want, but since I want to post this image for Instagram, I'll be using 4:5 so that it can fit well on Instagram. So if you want to post the image on Instagram, make sure your crop ratio is set to 4:5. So I just click OK. Now I'll just crop my image and just trying to get it right. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this and click on enter. So I like it like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll come to my exposure tab right here, and I'm just trying to work with my basic adjustments. So first of all, I like the exposure of this image. So if the exposure was a bit too dark, I would have just brought my brightness up or my exposure up, but since I like the exposure of this image, I'll just leave it like this in the default. So next I'm going to do, I just come to my high dynamic range, and if you see the whites of these shades, they're a bit washed out, so I'm just going to bring some details on the whites on the image or the highlights on the image. So I'll just bring my highlights down. You can see I'm retaining some details on the shade. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to open up my shadows because I feel my shadows area are too dark. So I'll just bring my shadow sliders up to open some bits of the shadows. So you can see the shadows area are coming up right now. So to compensate for my highlight which I brought down, I'll just open up my whites and bring down my blacks as well to compensate for the shadows which I opened like this. So far these are before and these are after. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my levels adjustment layer and just push my black sliders inside a bit. Let me see if any changes. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave my black slider, and I'll come to my white sliders and just push it inside a bit to add a little bit of shine to the image like this. Okay, I think this is all I'll be doing for Capture One for this image. So these are before and these are after. These are before Capture One and this is after Capture One. So right, I'm just going to open this image in Photoshop. So to open your image in Photoshop from Capture One, just right click on this image right here. You're going to see edit with, and just click on edit with Adobe Photoshop. And I'm going to be using 8 bits for this image, and I'm just going to click on edit variants. So as you can see, we have our image right here in Photoshop. And the first thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to duplicate my layer by clicking on Ctrl J to duplicate my layer, and I'm going to remove this person showing on this background right now. So to do that, I'll just pick on my lasso tool. This is my lasso tool right here, and I'll just make a selection of this part which I want to remove from the image like this. So these are the parts I want to remove for the image. So I just use my lasso tool to make a selection, and after that I'll just come to my edit and I'll come to content aware fill. So once I click on content aware fill, I'll just remove this green part of the image from my subject, because I don't want this I don't want Photoshop to use my subject to fill that particular place, so I'm just going to remove these greens from my subject and make sure only the background is selected, so that Photoshop is going to use the backgrounds to fill that place for me. So as you can see right here on the preview, you can see Photoshop has already filled that place on me, but it's not looking nice, but I'm going to fix that. So after that, I'm just going to click on OK and come back to Photoshop. Actually, I'll just press Ctrl D to deselect. You can see the before and the after, where you can see the image is still looking rough. So what I'm going to do right now, create a stamp visible layer by clicking on Ctrl Shift Alternate E. So I'll just come to my new layer which I created, which is my new subject layer, and just pick my patch tool. I'll just use my patch tool to remove the place of the background which I don't really want, like that. So I just use my patch tool to remove the place of the background which I don't really want, and I'll come back to this place right here, and I'll just take my time to work on this place. Use my patch tool. Like this, then I'll pick my mixer brush tool and I'll just mix this part like this to make it look realistic. So I'll just mix it with my mixer brush, and the reason I'm mixing it is because I'm still going to blur the background. So I think it's okay like this because I'm still going to blur the background. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just create a new empty layer, and right now I want to remove the blemishes on the skin. So after creating a new empty layer, I'll just come to my toolbar, I'll pick my healing brush tool, and I'll make sure my hardness is on 100 and sample correct and below layer is checked. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit now and remove the blemishes. So just zoom in, use alternate to sample from a close by area like this. So press on alternate on your keyboard, and once this sample icon shows, just sample from a close by area and take your hands off alternate and just paint on the blemishes like that. So you can see I've got rid of that blemishes. So sample from a close by area and paint over the blemishes to get rid of the blemishes. Sample and just brush over like that. Sample and brush. So I can still use my close stamp tool to remove blemishes. So once I click on my close stamp tool, bring my sample to correct and below layer as well, and just increase the brush size. Look for any blemishes, hold alternate to sample and just paint over the blemishes to remove. Sample and brush. So I'm just going to be switching between my close stamp tool and my healing brush tool to remove the blemishes. Okay guys, I have removed the blemishes, but as you can see there are still some little bit of blemishes on the skin, and I don't want to make the image to be too smooth because this is a male portrait, and I just want to leave some blemishes to make it look more realistic. And because it's a male portrait, I feel a lot of men likes to leave a little pimples on their face, and they don't want their face to be all smooth. But if you want your own image to be all smooth, it's optional for you. But since this is a male portrait, I'm just going to leave a little bit of blemishes on the skin and use focus separation to maybe make it a little bit smoother as well. So after removing the blemishes, next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to run my focus separation action. So I'll just come to my retouching academy and click on focus separation via Gaussian blur. So for this Gaussian blur radius, if you want to retain more texture on your skin, just take the radius all the way up, and if you want less texture on your skin, take it all the way down. So let me just show you. So if I take this image to about, if I use a radius of about 2.4 and I just click OK and use my mixer brush to brush on this image, you're going to see the image is going to be smooth, which I really don't like. I don't want my image to be this smooth, but because I use a smaller blur radius, you're going to see how smooth this image is going to look like right now. So let me just quickly brush and show you. Now let's quickly see the before and after. So just look at the image. This is the before and this is the after. This is the before and this is the after. You can see how smooth the image is, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to do this focus separation layer and run it again. So I'll click on focus separation via Gaussian blur again, and this time I'm going to be using a higher radius. Let me just use 6.4. You know the first time we used 2, but this one I'm just going to use 6.4 and click on OK. also, for this high frequency texture copy right here, you can decide to remove your blemishes if you want. So just increase your brush. So just pick your close stamp tool or your healing brush tool and sample from a close by area, and make sure your sample is set to current layer. You know, we changed it to current and below before, but right now just make sure it's set to current layer and just sample from a close by area to remove blemishes. Sample and click. You can also use your healing brush tool, change your sample to current and below, change your sample to current layer, and just sample and brush, sample and brush like that. So that's how you can use this high frequency texture here. So right now I'm just going to be using my mixer brush to work on the colors on the skin to make the skin look a little bit smoother. So just come to your corrective tone. If you are using this Retouching Academy frequency separation, come to your corrective tone, pick your mixer brush tool, make sure your high texture is turned off, and just brush on your skin. Remember to brush your highlight separately, remember to brush your shadow separately, and brush according to the shape of the texture on the skin of your image. But if you have other frequency separation action, you can also use this method. And for my mixer brush, make sure this place is unchecked. Make sure this place, if yours is checked, make sure here it's unchecked, and you can put your width to 10 or 20, then your load to 30, my mix is on 20, my flow is on 20. But my settings is for me, my wet is on 10, my load is on 30, my mix is on 20, and my flow is on 20. So that's my mixer brush settings, and I'm using a soft round brush right here, and my hardness is on 0. So just brush according to the shape of your model skin, and brush your highlight separately and brush your shadow separately. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this part of this image right now. So I've finished using my mixer brush. Now let's quickly see our before and after. This is our before and this is our after. You can see just the subtle difference. These are before and these are after. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to be applying my portraiture plugin. So I just come down here, merge my corrective tone and my low frequency together by pressing on Control on my keyboard, clicking on my low frequency, and just click on Control E to merge. So after merging, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my Medionic, and I'll come to my portraiture. So this portraiture is simply making the skin look a little bit smoother, and I'm just going to select the skin and just click on OK, and it's going to make the skin look a little bit smoother. So if you have skin finder, you can also use skin finder to do this step, but if you don't have this portraiture, there's no problem, you don't really need it. So let's see our before and after. This is our before portraiture and this is after our portraiture. You can see just make the skin look a little bit smoother. So this is the before and this is the after. So next I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm just going to be whitening the eyes. So to whiten your eyes, I don't have my eyes that says whitening action again because I just installed Photoshop 2021. So for you to do your eyes and teeth, all you have to do is I'm just going to create an action right now. So to create your eyes and teeth whitening action, you have to do is come to your action right here, and if you don't have your actions right here, just come to your windows and click on action, and your action is going to show right here. Probably you might have your actions like this, so don't worry, just come here, click on this option right here and click on this button to uncheck. So once you uncheck, to create an action, first of all you have to create a set. So you can name your set any set you want to create, and I already have a set which is this T-lens. So this set is like a folder, you can put multiple folder inside this set. So since I already have my T-lens, I'm just going to click on T-lens and click on this plus icon right here. So once I click on this plus icon, you're going to show action name. I'm just going to rename this one eyes and teeth whitening. So just rename your action the way you understand it, and I'm just going to put a color to know it. So I'm just going to put orange and click on record. So once I click on record, anything I'm doing right now is going to be recorded as an action. So to create your eyes and teeth whitening action, all you have to do is first of all come to your adjustment layer. So once you click on your adjustment layer, click on your vibrance. Once you click on your vibrance, just decrease the saturation of your vibrance a little bit like this. Let's say to minus 64 is okay, or 70. And let me just take the vibrance down a little bit as well. Then take the vibrance down a little bit to minus 30. And the next thing you're going to do, come back to your adjustment layer. If you don't have your adjustment layer up here, just come down here and you're going to see your adjustment layer. So everything I have down here is what I have up here as well. So I put my own up here. So next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my curves. Once I come to my curves, I'll just bring it up a little bit to add brightness to the image like this. So just take your curves up a little bit like this, and once you feel it's okay, leave it like this. Then the next thing you are going to do, you come to your photo filter and you just add a cooling filter. So I'm going to be using cooling 80, and I'll just reduce the density to about 7 or 8. So I think 8 is okay, and I like it like this. And after that, I'm just going to group everything I just did in a group. So I'm just going to hold shift and click on this last one, or click on control on my keyboard and selecting it one after the other. So after making a selection of all of them, I'll just click on Ctrl G to group. And once I group them, I can rename this group eyes and teeth so I can understand. And after renaming the group, what I'm going to do right now, I'll just add a layer mask to the group. So once I add the layer mask to the group, I'll just invert this layer mask by clicking on Ctrl I to invert this layer mask. So once I invert this layer mask, everything right here is hidden in this black layer mask. And you know, black hide and white reveals. So to reveal all this effect I just did, I'm just going to pick my normal brush tool and make sure my foreground color is on white. If your foreground color is not on white, just click on this triangle right here to triangle between white and black. And if you have other color right here, just click on this white and black to set it to default. So after that, I'm just going to end my recording like this. I'm just going to end my actions. So once I click on this stop icon right here, my action is saved. I'm just going to come to this option menu again, click on it once, I click on button mode. So if I delete this my eyes and teeth whitening action, which I just did, and I just come down to my actions, and I'm going to see eyes and teeth. So this is my eyes and teeth right here. I'm just going to click on it, and it's going to play that action which I just did. So this is it. Everything I did just now is inside this action. So once I pick my normal brush tool, I'll just increase the brush size, and I just want to reveal everything on the eyes only. So just paint only on the eyes to make it look white. So just paint like this to make it look white. And if you feel you made a mistake, you can use the black brush to clean it, or you can use your eraser tool to erase it like that. And to switch between your white and black brush, just click on X on your keyboard to switch between white and black, so you can erase if you feel you make a mistake. So I'm just going to paint on the eyes like this. And remember, I'm not painting on this place like this. Don't paint on this place. Make sure you only paint on the white part of the eyes. So after that, what I'm going to do right now, I'll just come to my filter, I'll come to my blur, and I'll click on Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to blur it with a radius of about 1. I think 1 is okay. I'll click on OK, and I'll just zoom out a little and see if it's too much. Right now I feel it's too much, so I'll just reduce the opacity. I'll just reduce the opacity like this, and you can see this action is inside my focus separation, so I'm just going to remove it from my focus separation like this. Okay, and bring it up above my focus separation. So I feel it's okay like this. Maybe I'll just leave it in about 60. I think 60 is okay. Let me see. Okay, 60 is okay. The next thing I'm going to do right now, I want to make the eyes a little bit tiny. So I want to bring back those details on the eyes. So I'll come to my brightness adjustment layer. I'll click on it and just increase the brightness of the eyes. After that, I'll invert it. So after I invert it, I'll just pick my normal white brush tool and just paint on the catch light on the eyes with my white brush on the catch light on the eyes, and also maybe paint on this part of the eyes as well like this to make it a little bit shiny. And if you feel it's too much, you can just reduce the opacity. So let's see our before and after. This is before, this is after. This is before and this is the after. Okay, you can see how the image is right now. So let's see where we're coming from and where we are right now. So this is our overall before, and this is where we are right now. So next time I'm going to add contrast to this image, and I'm going to be using my curves to add contrast to this image. So I recently learned about curves, so I think I'm going to be using curves a lot. So to use your curve to add contrast to your image, just come to your adjustment layer and click on your curves. So this is your curves right here, or you come down here and click on your curves adjustment layer right here. So once I click on curves, I'm just going to create an S curve, and to do that, just put a point on the shadows and put one point on the highlights, and just drag this point on the highlights up like this, and drag this point on the shadow down like this to create an S curve to add contrast to the image. But I feel it's too much, so I'm just going to bring this one up here down a little bit, and I think it's okay like this. So these are before and these are after. So I think I like this image like this. I'm not going to be doing dodge and burn for this image because I feel the highlights is separate and the shadow is very obvious, so I'm not going to be doing dodge and burn for this image. But it's optional. You can decide to do dodge and burn, and you can decide not to do dodge and burn. but I feel this image is okay like this, so I'm not going to be dodge and burn. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to color grade this image, and I really like the way the color is right now, but I'm just going to make it look a little bit better. And to do that, I'll just come to my selective color adjustment layer, and for the reds, I'll just remove a little bit of yellows from the reds like this, and I'll remove a little bit of magentas from the reds because I feel magenta is too much before, so I'm just going to reduce a little bit of magentas like this. So I think that's all I will be doing for this image. So let's see the before and after. This is how it was before. It was magenta on the image, and this is the after. You can see the image is looking good right now. So what I want to do right now, I want to blur the background of this image. So I'm just going to create a stamp visible layer by clicking on Ctrl Shift Alternate E, and you can see right here I have my subject in a new layer, and everything I did below it in this new layer. After creating a stamp visible layer, I'm just going to duplicate it by clicking on Ctrl J. So after I duplicate it, I'll just come to my object selection tool. So I'll just click on my subject selection tool. If you have the later version of Photoshop, you can see the selection object selection tool, or if you have the later version of Photoshop, you can use this quick selection tool. But I'm just going to click on this object selection tool, and just click and drag on my subject like this, and Photoshop will automatically select my subject for me. So you can see Photoshop has selected my subject for me, but I'm still seeing some parts which are not selected, like this part right here. So I'm just going to manually select here. So I'll just come to my polygonal lasso tool, click on it. This is my polygonal lasso tool, then hold shift to add, press shift on your keyboard. Once you're on your polygonal lasso tool, press shift on your keyboard, and you're going to see this plus icon. Just click and add this part, click and drag to add this part to the selection, and once I don't, come back to the started form and just click on it. And I want to minus this part of the selection. I hold alternate, and you can see this minus icon, so just click and just drag to minus that part from the selection, so like that. Okay, so next I'm going to do right now, I think I'm going to add this part of the hair to the selection. So I'll just press on my shift again and just add this part of the hair to the selection like this. Click and drag, click and drag like that. Just be careful, and come back to where you started from and just click on it like that. So after getting the perfect selection of my subject, I'm just going to invert this selection by clicking on Ctrl Shift I to invert the selection. So right now, instead of subject to be selected, my background is not selected, and I'm just going to click on Ctrl J to cut my background out of, to remove my subject from the background. So right now, if I turn off all my layer, you can see it's just remaining my background. So let me just show you. So if I hide all my subject layer, you can see it's remaining only my background. My subject is hidden from this selection right now. That's what we want. So since my subject is hidden from the selection, what I'm going to do right now, I'll just make another selection of my subject. Since I already have a selection of the background, I'm just going to come to my subject layer, click, hold shift and click on this one right here, and bring back the selection. So once the selection is back, I'm just going to invert it this time and make sure my subject is selected by clicking on Ctrl Shift I to invert it back so that my subject is selected right now, and just add a layer mask like this. And since I've removed my subject out of the background now, I'm just going to drag this one down like this. So this is my background layer. I'm just going to drag it down. I can decide to rename this one background so you can understand, and this one subject like that. So the first selection I made, it was for the background, while the second selection I made, it was for the subject. So right now, to blur it, I'll just come to this my background, and just once my background is selected, I'll come to my filter, and I'll come to my blur, and I'll come to Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to blur it. So any blur I put right now is going to be affecting only the background. It's not going to be affecting my subject. So if I take the blur all the way to 200, you can see what's happening to the background. The background is getting blurry, and if I take it all the way down, you can see the background is sharp. But I want to take it all the way to about, I think 66 is okay, and I'm going to click on OK. So let's see. These are before and these are after. You can see how blurry the background is. These are before and these are after. So that's how you blur your background. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, if you look at this image, you can see the background is looking too smooth and it's not looking realistic. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add noise to this background. And to add noise, you can either create a stamp visible layer and go to camera raw to add noise, but that will take a lot of time. So to add noise, all you have to do is create a new empty layer. So once you create a new empty layer, you come to your edit and you come to fill. You fill with 50% gray. So you come to content and fill with 50% gray. Make sure your opacity is on 100 and your mode is on normal. So just click on OK, and you're going to get 50% gray like this. But don't worry, we are going to work on that. So next thing you're going to do right now, you come to your filter, you come to your noise, and you come to add noise. So once you click on add noise, just make sure you are Gaussian. Make sure Gaussian is checked, and just look for any radius you want. Don't make it too much. I'm using 12, and I'll click OK. And if it's too much, I'll just reduce the opacity. So after that, I'll just come to my blend mode and change it to soft light, and you can see the image is back. But right now you can see the noise is too much, so just reduce the opacity to where you feel it's okay. So I think I like it like this. So let's see our before and after. These are before. Just take a look at the background. You can see how smooth it is, and this is after. You can see how rough it is right now. It's looking more realistic. And mind you, the noise also affects the image, which I like. But if you don't want the noise to affect the image, the subject rather, you can just create a layer mask and just use your black brush to paint it out of the subject so that it will not affect the subject. But for the sake of this tutorial, I won't do that, so I'm just going to delete this layer mask. So next I'm going to do right now, I'm going to save this image, and before I save my image, I'm just going to resize it first by clicking on Ctrl Alternate I and just change the width to about 9 or 8. I prefer using 9. If I change the width, the height will automatically change. So once it changes, I'm just going to click on OK. So after resizing my image, next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to come to my file. I'll click on Export and I'll click on Save for Web Legacy. And for here, I'll just make sure JPEG is selected, and I'll just change the quality to 75 or 80, but I prefer 75. And make sure your optimize right here is checked. And after that, I think you are good to go. Just click on Save. So after that, I think you are good to go. Just click on Save, and you're going to get a sharp image when you upload it to Instagram or Facebook. So this is how to retouch my portrait. And if you learned anything from this video, or this video has been helpful to you, just hit on that like button so that this video can spread to more people and they can also learn from this video as well. And if you want to learn how to retouch beauty headshots, make sure to click on this video showing your screen right now. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.